In my last video, I began the first of a two-part video series covering the CFL's new uniforms that will be used in the 2016 season that as of this video has not started just yet. So in that last video, I talked about the new uniforms for the Eastern Conference teams of the Canadian Football League, except for the Montreal Alouettes, because they didn't change anything. And for this video, which is also the second and final part of my two-part video series covering the new uniforms across the CFL, I will be talking about the CFL's Western Division. Now, I'm going to start off with the Calgary Stampeders. As you can see here, they had a black helmet, solid red shoulder yoke and arms, black numbers, and red pants. Now, as for their old home uniform, it was just a red jersey with black side panels and a little bit of black on the cuffs of the arms, with black pants and red socks. And this was their third jersey they unveiled a couple years ago, with the flat black on the front that faded into a red gradient until it went solid red in the very far back of the helmet, which I thought was a neat idea. Now, here are their new uniforms. But before I talk about new uniforms, notice that the Calgary Stampeders have decided to continue wearing their black third jersey, which I think is a great move because, as far as I'm concerned, even with the weird helmet, I think it's one of the better uniforms in the CFL. I'm not going to lie. And as for their home and road jerseys, you'll notice that the home jerseys changed very little. It says Stampeders down the sides of the pants now, and it has a little bit of red on the pants as well now. As for the home jersey, it has a little bit more black on the ends of the arms, plus it's now lacking the shoulder numbers. But note that there's a new number font and letter font on the main jerseys now, because what they've decided to do with Adidas is now they use the same Old West font that they have on their black third jersey on both their home and road jerseys now. Which, you know what, it makes sense for a team in Calgary. And the fact that they're called the Stampeders, it makes a lot of sense, and I think it's a nice touch. But as for the road jersey, it now has red numbers and black on the ends of the arms. Plus, they also have red names on the back now as well. And so far, I think this road jersey, I definitely prefer the red numbers. But at the same time, if you look at it from this shot, it looks like a very clunky jersey. And I wish they would clean it up the next time they do a little bit of an overhaul of all the uniforms. See, even a white version of this red jersey would be a huge step up in my opinion. But you know what, at the same time, I agree with the people who are saying that the Stamps should go back to being mostly red and silver. Because I remember their throwback that they wore like 6 years ago, their 70s throwback, and that was one real nice jersey. And I think that if they were mostly red and silver again with a little tiny bit of black and also continued to sport a black third jersey like this one here, I think they would definitely be one of the best looking teams in the CFL. But overall, I definitely like the little things they've added to their new home jersey, and as for the road jersey, I definitely like the red numbers, but unfortunately it's a little too busy looking for me. Anyways, moving on to the BC Lions. Now, their old uniforms, in my opinion, were really quite nice. They weren't too much. They were very simple, and the white and orange, as far as I'm concerned, looked really good. The only problem that I had with the uniforms before was the jerseys themselves, because as much as I liked them, the problem I had was that they seemed a little bit bare, like they were missing something. I've always felt that since the day they decided to take the black line around the shoulders of this uniform off in 2012, that they should have some striping on the arms. And thankfully, their new uniforms have finally fixed the problem that I had with their old uniforms, as you can see here, by adding a little more to the actual jersey itself. So with that, here's a shot of the BC Lions' new road jersey. And the first thing you'll notice is that compared to their old road jersey here, their new one has quite a bit more to it than their last one. There's more to it, the jersey itself. Now there's an orange shoulder yoke, plus there's also orange cuffs on the arms, where before it was just a plain white jersey with orange numbers with black trim. Now I'm going to talk about this uniform a little more, but first I just want to talk about their new helmet design real quick. So here's the new helmets for the road jersey. See, they took the old logo where it says BC underneath it, and first off they painted the cat white. Now they got these weird stripes that go underneath it, and there's 6 of them to represent 6 gray cuffs, which is a gimmick and a half. But going back to their new road jersey, I think the orange helmet is kind of neat, actually. They're the only team that has orange, so having an orange helmet I think allows them to be even a little bit more unique. But I definitely like that there's a lot more on the shoulders now. I mean, for this jersey it actually works quite nicely without looking too busy. And there's a new word mark, plus the numbers. Notice that they have a little bit, I know it's tough to see on my camera, but they have a little bit of a gradient effect to them now. I thought that was kind of cool. But I noticed they've gone for more of a collegiate look, which I'm not saying is a bad thing, but I'll talk a little bit more about that in a few moments here. But anyways, I want to show you guys the new home jersey, which as you can see here is solid orange and black. And hats off to the BC Lions for fooling me with their first teaser pictures that they had on Twitter, because when they first started showing their teaser videos and pictures, I honestly thought that they were going for an all-black uniform, kind of like the gunmetal gray jersey. So hats off to them for completely fooling me, and fooling a lot of people for that matter. But anyways, here you can notice the gradient a lot better. I think it's neat that they tried to do something different with the numbers, but I don't know if I'm a big fan of that. But overall, this jersey looks good. I like the idea of black on orange. I think it's a nice look. And I'm definitely a fan of the new black helmet. As for the orange one with the white logo, not as much. I'm not saying it's bad, but I definitely prefer this helmet better. And let me see if I can get a good shot of it. There we go. There's a much better shot than the one I had in that last photo with Adam Bighill. So as you can see, once again, the little BC script underneath the lion's head is gone now, replaced with 6 orange stripes on the black helmet where they were white stripes on the orange helmet. They've gone for something very collegiate looking with the helmet, but I don't think that's bad. But I would strongly prefer they put their actual logo there instead of messing with it with 6 stripes. Even though it is neat, but I prefer they do something like that for a third jersey. Now, also notice that there's black pants. So they've gone with a specifically orange and black uniform. Now, the one thing that I don't like about these two uniforms is that this one's heavy on orange and white, while this one is orange and black. But this orange and black uniform has no white, while this one has absolutely no black besides the new word mark, which is a step up from their old one. I like that they've gone with a simpler word mark. But for me, the other problem I have with their new uniforms is that I feel that they tried too hard to be like the gunmetal gray jersey without being the gunmetal gray jersey, especially with the gradient effects on the numbers. And I definitely hope that the BC Lions bring this jersey back. Because, you know what? I think that only using this for 2 seasons is just not enough. It's such a cool, unique uniform that is so different from everything else that I think it definitely deserves some more field time. And I definitely hope the BC Lions are going to bring this back. Because if there's any third jersey I'd like to see make a comeback, it's this one. Because I thought it was pretty sweet. Now also, here's a shot of the back of the Lions' new jersey. This is another thing I don't like. The nameplate appears to kind of cut into the shoulder yoke of the jerseys now, which I think is a little bit of a disappointment. I'm definitely not a fan of that. But also notice there's a little bit of a shine effect to the numbers now. Kind of like a shiny plastic. I don't know if I'm a big lover of that. And I think that if this had some white trim around the numbers, I think it would look a hell of a lot nicer. Now also note the BC Lions logo underneath the numbers. I mean, for me, it looks like a tramp stamp. And it's something I absolutely did not like about the Saskatchewan Roughriders now retired uniforms. And I'm definitely not happy that the BC Lions have done that here. And I wish they would have had the numbers on the shoulders and put their actual logo on the sides like they did with their now retired uniforms. See, I know it's tough to see here, but above the numbers was the BC Lions logo on these jerseys. And I wish they would have done the same thing here, but at the same time, it's kind of tough to do it with that line there. But nevertheless, I think they should have definitely done something more like that. At least keep the logo off the back area below the numbers so it doesn't look like a tramp stamp. I definitely don't care for that. That's why I actually really like this old throwback that the Lions wore back when they played there for the short period that they did at the temporary Empire Field. Because I really liked this jersey because it had black numbers with white trim, a black helmet, and lots of white to really make the jersey pop. And that's one thing that I really liked about this uniform that I wished their new uniforms would have copied from. But as I say that though, I mean, at this point, I don't think their new uniforms are too bad, and I'm quite curious to see what they look like on the field. Now let's move on to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. This was their home jersey last year, and this was their road jersey. Now, here is their new uniforms, and let me say this right off the hop. The royal blue and gold is beautiful. And I think the Blue Bombers have gone way too long without going back to royal blue as a full-time look. And it's nice to see the Bombers go back to their retro look. I just wish the Rough Riders would have done the same thing. I really do. Anyways, the blue jersey is amazing. I love it. But as for the road jersey, why do they have a shoulder yoke? I mean, pardon my finger, but you see, if they would have just taken the shoulder yokes off, the jerseys would have looked super nice. But you know what? Overall, I mean, to see them go back to royal blue and gold, I think is a huge step up. I really do. But at the same time, honestly, guys, I'm going to really miss this gold jersey. I thought it was so cool that the Blue Bombers were the only team in the CFL with a non-white road jersey. It was something different, and I really liked that about the Blue Bombers gold jersey, and I'm going to really miss it. I really am. And the thing is, I'm surprised that so many fans were pushing for the Bombers to go back to a white road jersey. And I find that very disappointing because you know what? With the gold jersey, they had a unique identity from everyone else, and it was actually one of the most unique identities in football. I mean, not even the NFL has a team with a non-white road jersey right now. So, I thought that was a really unique thing about the Blue Bombers, and I really, really, really liked this jersey, and I'm honestly going to miss it. But at the same time, I'd take royal blue over that any day. But also, I mean, they could have tried a gold road jersey, but with royal blue, it just doesn't look right. I mean, the navy blue with gold, it contrasts really nicely. But with royal blue, I think that would be a real stretch. It just wouldn't look right. But overall, let me say this. The Blue Bombers look fantastic in royal blue, and it's nice to see them wearing royal blue on a full-time basis for the first time in over 20 years. So hats off to them. Now let's move on to the Eskimos. These guys really make me scratch my head because I thought this home jersey was absolutely beautiful. The only thing I might have done is maybe have two thicker white stripes within the yellow on the arms there, but that's about it. I mean, these jerseys were beautiful. But as for the road jerseys, they did need to be changed. I mean, look at, they were a mess. They had side panels and they had the shoulder yoke. But anyways, I'm going to show you guys their new jerseys. And pretty much all I can say is that they've pretty much gone back to their 2000s uniforms, which I'm not saying that's a bad thing because they're clean, but compared to this jersey here, I think their new green jersey is a definite downgrade. But as for their new road jersey, compared to this, it's a step in the right direction. I mean, look at this. It's so messy. But you know what? If I was the one redesigning the Eskimos uniforms, all I would have done is this. So I'm going to use my finger to block the side panels and the shoulder yoke. If they would have just had the arms looking like this. That's all they had to do, in my opinion. That would have been absolutely perfect. But nope, they had to change it. And I think that's really a bit of a shame, because I absolutely loved their old home jersey. I thought that was so nice. And as for the road jersey, I hope that they stick with the gold helmet for the most part, even though the dark green helmet's not too bad, but I like their gold helmet better. Or golden yellow helmet, I should say. So now I'm going to talk about their third jersey. And anyways, when I heard that the Eskimos were going to keep this as a third jersey for the 2016 CFL season, I laughed because I thought that was a joke. I mean, look at it. I mean, did these guys not learn anything from the Edmonton Oilers 2007 Reebok Edge jerseys? I mean, those things were horrible, and this is just as bad. I mean, it's a football jersey with the Edmonton Eskimos initials on the front with front numbers and vertical piping. Jesus, Murphy, that is an ugly jersey. I can't believe it survived past the 2 years that it had as a signature jersey with the rest of the league's alternates that they brought out. I mean, give me a break. And as for the oversized initials on the helmet, no thank you. I mean, seriously? If these guys had to have a third jersey for this upcoming 2016 season, you know, at the bare minimum, they should have at least kept this for a third jersey. I mean, at least they would have had a decent, really nice third jersey. So now, they've downgraded their home jersey, but they did clean up their road jersey, I'll give them that. But they're still keeping this. I mean, geez, that's brutal. Absolutely brutal. Yikes. Geez, I just hope that they're working on a new third jersey for the 2017 season, because this jersey, in my opinion, has got to go. And the sooner, the better. Now we're going to cover the last team in the CFL to get new uniforms, and that is the Saskatchewan Roughriders. So after going with this vertical piping, side-paneled mess of a pair of uniforms, they have finally decided to clean them up. And thankfully, alongside that, they've also decided to retire this colossal train wreck of a third jersey. In my opinion, I would honestly argue that it is possibly the worst jersey in Canadian Football League history. I mean, it's Kelly green with lime green accents with silver chrome numbers, and on the uniform itself, it had a watermelon-like helmet with dark gray pants. I mean, this uniform was, in my opinion, it was a total atrocity. I mean, this thing was ugly, and I'm so glad to hear that it's not making a comeback. And you know what? And the sad part is, if they would have just made the main color of the jersey black, it would have at least been a little bit tolerable. But note the word mark here, because when you see the new uniforms, you're going to notice that they've kept the word mark. So also, I'll get to this retro jersey in a few minutes, but see, notice the new word mark on the new Rough Rider jerseys. But anyways, here's a clear shot of them. So the first thing to point out, the vertical piping's gone. Thank goodness. Now the second thing, the Rough Riders have done a major cleanup of their uniforms. Both jerseys no longer have black anywhere present on the uniforms except for the word marks on the road jersey and for the black inside the logo. Which, by the way, for those of you watching this that haven't heard, The Rough Riders actually cleaned up their logo a little bit for the 2016 season. They've made the lines on either side of the S line up, and they've removed all of the silver out of the logo and replaced it with white. So now they're just basic black, green, and white team now. And with their uniforms, they're now back to just being green and white. But also note the 4 stripes along the pants. I think that is a pretty cool little thing that they've done there, and it's also to pay tribute to their 4 Grey Cups. It is gimmicky, but at the same time, it looks pretty sharp. But the thing that I don't like about these uniforms is that they continue to have side panels, which I wish they would just get rid of them. And the other thing, thankfully, according to the rumors, the Rough Riders dodged a major bullet, because supposedly they had prototypes where the numbers had the same hideous wheat pattern as this retired, or I should say thankfully retired, signature disaster of a jersey. So they were going to have that same wheat pattern on the numbers here, and I'm really glad that they didn't. But here's the main problem that I have with these new uniforms. They're trying to go more and more towards this beautiful retro look here without actually going back to it. So it seems that they're more worried about selling new merchandise than they are about going back to their best look. And I would honestly argue this is maybe even one of the best looks in football. I think the Rough Riders throwbacks are absolutely amazing. And on top of that, their old logo, in my personal opinion, is way better than the logo they've had since the 90s. Way better. And it's a shame that they haven't brought it back on a full-time basis. But hey, I'd rather the uniforms lose this vertical piping and the black trim and stick with mostly green and white than continue to be playing with these weird designs with black piping and all that across the jersey. So I'm glad these are cleaner, but at the same time, I mean, why haven't they gone back to this yet? I mean, give me a break. But I do have some good news though. The Rough Riders have confirmed that this will be their 3rd jersey in 2016, so at least we're going to still have it. But if I had my way, this jersey and its white counterpart would be what these guys are wearing on a full-time basis going forward. Because in my opinion, those are 2 of the best uniforms not only in the Canadian Football League, but in professional football. And that even goes for the NFL too. I think that the Rough Riders retro jerseys are that good. I really do. And I think they're up there with some of the best jerseys in the NFL too, where they're just as good. But anyway, looking at that throwback, I mean, I still don't get why the Rough Riders haven't gone back to that full time. Because if there's any team that needs to be embracing a throwback jersey, it's the Saskatchewan Rough Riders. But anyways, with that, that is it for my 2-part video series covering the Canadian Football League's new uniforms. But there's a few things that I want to point out about this uniform change that I thought were interesting. And the first thing was that, thankfully, Adidas has kept their trademark 3 stripes off of their uniforms, which I think it's fantastic that they're not anywhere on the uniforms. And the second thing I noticed was that they didn't change too much, which I think is good. And for the most part, I think that most of the changes were improvements, as far as I'm concerned. And the third thing that I noticed out of this new redesign league-wide from Adidas is that a lot of teams have taken their shoulder numbers off. I just don't get that. I mean, I know it's 2016 and the commentators have high-def cameras and all of that to work with, and actually, they're now going to be starting to have 4K cameras coming soon. So that just goes to show how quickly technology has advanced. But, I mean, when you're looking down in a big stadium like, say, Mosaic Stadium or BC Place, I mean, I can't see commentators not having the odd issue, not having shoulder numbers to read off of. But anyways, I mean, if they've taken them off quite a few jerseys in the CFL, I mean, clearly it must not be too big of a deal. Anyways, the fourth thing that I've noticed with Adidas is that all of the logos on the new jerseys are actually embroidered. They're not screen printed like they were before. And I think that's fantastic. And my reasoning is because when people go and buy CFL jerseys, they're expensive. They're not cheap. And people are already paying a premium even for just a blank jersey with no names on it. So at the bare minimum, they should at least be embroidering the patches and actually sewing them on. Not just these screen printed logos that fade away after 5 or 6 years. I mean, and it's nice, it's a nice trend, and I hope it becomes a major new trend in professional sports, because I've noticed it with Nike and the NFL, and I really don't like it. And I've also noticed it on the NHL's replica jerseys. And with Adidas getting ready to take over the NHL's jersey contract in the 2017-18 season, I'm honestly really keeping my fingers crossed that the replicas are going to start to have embroidered shoulder patches again, which I think is something they should always have. Because you know what, as I've said, when you buy a brand new jersey, you're paying good money for it. I mean, the quality should be good, especially when you're paying $130 for a starting price for a lot of these jerseys. And if you get them with a name on them, they can cost over $200. And if you want an NHL authentic jersey with a fight strap, you're looking at over $300. So it's nice to see that Adidas has decided to start embroidering, and I hope that's the case with the replica jerseys. So it's definitely nice to see that they're doing that. But anyways, looking at the league overall, I think for the most part they've improved. The league overall has improved in terms of uniforms. I mean, Montreal's stayed the same, which I think is actually pretty good. Toronto's gotten better. I like their new, slightly updated uniforms. Hamilton, for me, downgraded a little bit because they took some of the little things from their uniforms that made them look absolutely perfect, in my opinion. The Red Blacks, their new road jersey is way better than their old one. And their home one, unfortunately, is way too similar to the Stamps. And back and into the West, I think BC's improved their uniforms. It's nice to see that they've got more to them now than they did before. And now that they're not just orange and white shirts with numbers and letters on them. I think that's better. As for the Eskimos, their home jersey is a downgrade in my opinion. Their old one was so nice. All they had to do was make their road jersey match it, in my opinion. But as I say that though, their new road jersey is a step up from their old one, but that's just because it was so messy with the side panels and the shoulder yoke. And as for the Blue Bombers, as much as I'm going to miss that gold road jersey, I definitely think their new uniforms are a step up. And the royal blue, in my opinion, should have never changed. It should have never been switched to navy. But as I say that though, I just wish their road jersey did not have a shoulder yoke. But without the shoulder yoke, it would be really nice. But as I say that though, I am gonna definitely miss their gold road jersey. But at the same time, I'd rather them be in royal blue and gold. As for the Stampeders, I like the changes that they made. I think they're a slight upgrade. The only thing I would do though next time is to just make their road jersey match their red jersey. Anyways, and finally with the Rough Riders, I mean, for myself, I'm not going to be satisfied with those guys till we go back to their retro jerseys. I mean, their new ones are a huge improvement from their old ones in my opinion, but I still think that they should be definitely going for the retro jerseys full time, and it's a bit of a shame that they haven't. Anyways, I hope you viewers out there have enjoyed my 2-part video series on the CFL's new uniforms for the 2016 season, and until my next video, take care, and as always, bye for now. See you later.